There are many things that I would not do if I could come here again. There are some things I would do. I want to talk about that. Some of the things I wouldn't do is I wouldn't do this. We were in quartet. We're up in some little church in Ohio somewhere. And it was a little storefront church. And we'd been singing every night for like weeks and weeks. And we were tired. We were sick. And one of our songs was The Walls of Jericho. And Eddie Beaver had the lead part, the tenor part, and the walls. It was a real high part. And I had the bass line. I'm standing. Eddie's here. I'm here. Jimmy Barefoot's here. Ron Crooks is on the end. And we started that song, and Archie Coombs started working the piano. And Eddie said, and the walls. And he could hardly hit that note anyways. He was a little bit flat. But don't tell him I said he sings flat. But he was a little bit flat. Archie Coombs would have him stand on his tiptoes to try to make the note. You know, and Eddie was hitting that high point. Now, I don't know why I did this. I reached over with my two fingers and I pinched him right here under the note. And he went, and I broke up laughing, and Barefoot broke up laughing, and Ron was carrying the song by himself. Archie Coombs didn't know what was happening. And people started shouting because they were ready to Archie Coombs came over from the piano because it disrupted the whole song. And Archie Coombs came over and started shaking. These are good boys, you know. And he pushed Jimmy back against this big box. It was our sound system with the transformer sticking out, and he broke one off, and the sound equipment went, wah! That killed the spirit right there. I wouldn't try to tell the director of music what he would do. Now, he asked us one summer when we were traveling, he said, now boys, we're going to sing and we're going to preach. And there were three of us that were ministerial students in the quartet. And he said to me, he said to us, he said, boys, I want you to get a sermon. I want you to write it down. And you're going to preach that same sermon the entire summer. I was a young man. I was fervent for God. I want you to know, and I came from a Quaker background. You live by the Spirit. You move in the Spirit. And I told Brother Coons, I said, Brother Coons, I'm really going to have to preach what God puts on my heart. And he said to me, you're not going to do such a thing. You want to preach what I tell you to preach. That's what you're going to preach. So I learned, and you don't try to tell Brother Coons what you're going to do when you're in his quartet. But one time, are you going to the camp, the choir's going up to what's Camp Freedom? Let me tell you about Camp Freedom. Be careful. This is something I wouldn't do again. We had traveled the whole choir tour, and we were ending up at Camp Freedom. And they put us in all these little cabins, and something came over us. There's a spirit up there. It came over the whole, all of us. We were up to 3 o'clock in the morning with shaving cream and buckets of water and dumping each other. And we made such a commotion. I'm sorry we did this. I think this is under the blood, but I'm just telling everybody. We made a commotion, and it got the people in the camp so mad they raked Brother Coons over the coals. They said, we have never in our lifetime had a student body of choir come through here and do what your students did last night. Brother Coons was furious. We get on the bus. We got a 2-hour, 4-hour trip back to Hosanna. It was late at night. After that day, it was a hard day to get through. We were driving back down, and a student by the name of Ron Hayes, I don't know if you know him, he's a good brother. It was quiet. Brother Coons said, I don't want anything, just be quiet. And Ron said, halfway back down, he said, you know, on the bus, it's just really public there, and he said, I feel like we should sing some songs. And he started up, let's talk about Jesus. Let's talk about Jesus. You know, and a couple joined in, and Archie Stubbs said, shut up, we're not going to talk about Jesus, we're not going to sing about Jesus, we're not going to do anything about Jesus tonight. Now, I'm not saying Brother Coons is carnal or anything, but don't you even suggest that. That was holy anger right there. That was not Jesus. That was Jesus talking to us. Let me tell you one more thing that I wouldn't do. I wouldn't rob Brother Coons' quartet money in New York. We were in New York taking a day off, and Brother Coons went to see some family, and he told 4 quartet members he was staying in the 6th floor hotel. We were in the 2nd floor of this big fancy hotel. It was a wild, radical place down in Times Square. And he said, boys, just in case something happens, I put all the quartet money in a bag in my closet, in my room, under some papers. Thank you, Brother Coons. Have a good night. We went out to eat Chinatown, came back, And Jimmy and I were calling up. We were nervous. You know, you're young, you're nervous, and we were going up the fire escape. You know, those are neat things to climb up on the outside of a building. Those wire stairs, and we were going up, and we noticed there's a window open right where it seems like it was Brother Coons' room. We just looked in, and sure enough, it was Brother Coons' room. Right, he left his window open. What else could you expect? And we went in, and we said, why don't we just take the money? And we took his money, and we brought it down, and we told the other guys what we did, and we hid it, and we went on, and he came back that night and went to bed, and he got up the next morning, and he's going into this little closet to get his clothes, and he notices the papers are messed up, and he looks up, and he goes, there's no money, and he's been robbed. And about that time, Eddie had gotten up and walked upstairs, and he knocked on the room, was going to see if Brother Coons wants some coffee or something, and he knocks on the door, and the door opens instantly, and there's Brother Coons in his jockey shorts. He didn't know who was at the door. He just opened the door and said, we've been robbed! And he gets dressed, and he comes, and Eddie finally told him, oh, yeah, Brother Coons, no. Archie was calling the police when Eddie knocked on the door. Can you imagine Hope Sound Quartet arrested in New York City for theft? So Archie comes down, and I will never forget this stinging rebuke. It came right from God. I'm on my knees praying, and we got up, James and I, we got up, and he was reading his Bible on our knees, and we're sitting there quiet, doing our quiet time like you're supposed to do when you're a good quartet boy. And Archie comes around, and he says, get up off the floor, you pious hypocrite. He said, you're not ready to pray. Shut the Bible up. You can't read the Bible. I probably wouldn't do some of those things again.